that she and a woman had a child together. Oh, this isn't why I came in. They are spreading it all around. That you did for Trump. I don't think that makes sense. Additionally, you fear that a gay family will love and care for a child. Keep in mind that he is terrified by this particular picture. He was also on the L Word, mind you. How will he tell his grandchildren that? Lesbians are the subject of that show. As a parent, you should also let your kids know that the world is not limited to what you consider typical in your own household. The man who openly boasted about being a pimp, carried women on leashes and dog collars, directed homosexual sequences in Korn, and starred in several episodes of The Lord, Snoop Dogg, is now saying that his children are being negatively impacted by witnessing a lesbian pair on TV. This cannot be made up. In the event that hypocrisy and double standards were given an Oscar, Snoop would easily win it. Snoop literally made money off of stories about queer people. Nevertheless, he somehow believes that his children will become gay, transgender, or anything else after watching a lesbian relationship in a cartoon. However, can we really expect anything more from a man who claimed in 2017 that all Trump performers are Uncle Toms, only to return to play for him in 2025? It would seem that no one would perform for Donald Trump. Who amongst you will be the first to do that? I'm holding out. If you do it, Uncle Tom, I'm going to roast your ass. Who will be the first to do it? The person who performs for himself is me. I like his performance at the crypto ball during Donald Trump's inauguration weekend. Now let's talk about the recent controversy around Snoop's statement that he fears LGBTQ propaganda in cartoons. Because it allegedly brainwashes children, other people are supporting him and arguing that he has a point. However, a lot of people are pointing out that Snoop began his career by rapping about individuals, gangs, crime, and the sale of drugs. However, he now says that the mere fact that an animated movie features a lesbian couple together for less than 10 seconds makes him nervous. Additionally, Snoop is being dragged by more than just internet users. He was also criticized by a number of famous people, including as Marlon Wayans, who claim that this may be the most stupid thing Snoop has ever said. But let me tell you what happened in case you were unaware. After making an odd remark about a lesbian relationship in the 2022 animated Disney film Lightyear Year, Snoop is currently facing a lot of backlash. Snoop talked about how he recently saw the film with his grandson on the It's Giving podcast last week. Additionally, Snoop claimed he was unsure of how to react when the child allegedly questioned him about the female couple's impending baby. He went so far as to say that he is too afraid to go to the movies right now, because he could see something that he cannot explain to his children. The rapper talks about how he was shocked to see lesbian parents portrayed on TV. It was Disney's first same-sex kiss in the 2022 movie. Why does my grandchild look like Papa Snoop in the middle of the film? How did she conceive a child with a woman? She is a female. This isn't why I came in. I came only to see the blasted movie. Watch the movie, dude. I feel as though I'm afraid to go to the movies. As if you were putting me in the military. Yes, they will inquire. I have no response. What did you say to them? See the film. You can imagine how quickly the internet took advantage of Snoop to say things like, so instead of educating your grown self and explaining to your child, you sit there like a dumb and whine about it. And another person said, reminds me of old white people being upset by having to see black and brown people in movies and commercials. The irony, many others also drew attention to the blatant hypocrisy, given that Snoop has openly supported dangerous products for children. I'm sure his grandson has witnessed the violence that Snoop Dogg introduces in his live streams of Grand Theft Auto and Cood games, but he stops short when he sees a gay relationship, according to someone on X. However, the fact that Snoop really pretended to be an LGBTQ+ ally for years was what many fans found most confusing. In 2013, he openly expressed his support for gay marriage to HuffPost. So, how is he going to tell his grandson about that? Snoop remarked, "People can do what they want and as they please," in response to a question concerning his views on homosexual marriage. Make yourself feel good about it. I don't have any problems with anyone. I do what I do because I live for myself. Therefore, you ought to be free to do what you like. That's not all, though. Snoop appeared in the lesbian television drama The L Word in 2004. So once more, how will Snoop explain this to his grandson? The most outrageous aspect is that his entire L Word character arc basically went from being afraid that he didn't know anything about lesbians to actually becoming an outspoken, active ally, as if it were the main purpose of his Slim Daddy persona. However, Snoop finds it difficult to understand how two women can become parents. Adoption is all you need to explain. Madonna adopted a black child, and Snoop is pals with her. How would he then explain to his grandson how a black baby is born to a white lady and her white husband? To be fair, Snoop isn't being dragged by everyone. He has a point about this kind of content being featured in Disney films, according to certain people who genuinely agree with him. There's nothing wrong with wanting to shield kids from adult subjects, someone responded. Nothing is wrong. Snoop Dogg speaks for millions of parents weary of Disney's imposed agenda, another individual said. They are destroying the experience by forcing this shit into children's films. Here's the problem, though. People's biggest grievance with Snoop is his lack of integrity. Let's be honest, please. For decades, Disney has been sneaking dubious content into their cartoons. Racism, colonialism overtones, violence, ugly stereotypes of all kinds, you name it. However, the line in the sand is now abruptly a 2-second kiss between two women. Now, Snoop's argument might make sense if he had a problem with cartoons depicting any kind of kissing. However, Disney films have always featured heterosexual kisses and plots. Did we overlook the fact that Prince Charming kissed Snow White while she was unconscious? Or did Aladdin essentially deceive Jasmine into becoming his partner? Snoop just comes across as performative and selective because of this. In fact, Marlon Wayans made the argument that Disney has been spreading even worse messages for decades. And it was never a problem for Snoop. Therefore, let's call out everything, not just the things that make you uncomfortable, if you're going to do so. There ain't no Hollywood agenda to turn kids gay, Marlon stated in reaction to Snoop's remarks. That is the most stupid thing I have ever heard. Characters from Disney lie, steal, cheat, murder, poison, and more. Don't you think it's a plot to make their children into a piece of shit? I haven't seen Snow White yet, but as soon as a gay character appears, there's an agenda. I watched it as a child. Seeing LGBTQ+ people on screen is powerful and helps everyone feel seen, a spokeswoman for the LGBT Foundation stated in a statement in response to criticism of Snoop by LGBTQ+ campaigners. Negative comments made by well-known people actually hurt people because they exacerbate stigma and undermine long-sought advancements. The author of the Disney film Lightyear then came forward to express her pride in the moment and her belief that it was essential and logical for the film. As we wrote early versions of what became Lightyear, a key character needed a partner, and it was so natural to write she instead of he, writer Lauren Gunderson wrote in response to the uproar in the forum's post. Even though it's a little detail in the movie, I was aware of the potential representational impact. Big deal, little Q. The fact that they maintained it thrilled me. I'm proud of it to infinity, Gunderson continued. Love is love. TSM Madison, meanwhile, responded to Snoop in a far harsher manner. She also called him a hypocrite on her recent appearance on TMZ Live, claiming that the content in his music videos is far worse than two animated characters sharing a 2-second kiss. Snoop Dogg has long opposed censorship, and his notoriety stems from his ability to express himself. Snoop, I have a question. In your music videos, you show women dancing and kissing other women who are also dancing nude. Why, then, is it acceptable to act in a lesbian manner in your music videos while you are hesitant to respond to your grandchildren's inquiries? TMZ now took a slightly different stance, claiming that Snoop's music videos are inappropriate for young audiences. T.S. Madison, however, spoke up, essentially stating, "Let's not pretend like kids don't watch these music videos." Furthermore, Snoop never claimed to have prohibited his grandson from viewing his video. He is still hypocritical as a result. So give it a minute. The videos that he makes for his adult music videos provide an answer to that question. He wouldn't claim that those music videos aren't appropriate for young audiences. As someone who is aware of how children function, I am aware that would be the scene and the context. Children see everything. They watch videos of music. They listen to the lyrics. These are the things they hear. However, that's only TS. Isn't that the role of parenting? You're right, after all. Children can see everything if you allow them. As a parent, you should also teach your kids that there are other things in the world than what you consider normal in your own home. So I'm glad you mentioned that's where parenting comes in. However,